Good morning, everyone. I am Tara, aka Spirit Mother, and I would like to welcome you all back to my channel on YouTube, Spirit to Spirit Teachings of Going Within Self, on TikTok, 1974 Enlightened Soul, and I'm also live on my Facebook. If you're not familiar with my channel, I always suggest or recommend that people go and read the description on my YouTube channel, Spirit to Spirit Teachings of Going Within Self, in order to get a better understanding of what my channel is about. Talking about family and spiritual health. Okay, I hate it when I talk about family, but what I'm bringing forward today is going to give hopefully a better understanding, because I've talked about it a lot. I talk about my own experiences a lot and what have you. Excuse me. Okay. Oh shit. Oh dang. What happened there? Okay. I'm just trying to sort this out. I got it up to hi. Welcome to my channel. Oh crap. Okay. Now, is that better? Okay. No. Okay. So today I'm talking about family and spiritual health, and I put a video out earlier, hoping that my family would watch this video, and that you'd actually not just watch it, but actually hear what it is I'm saying. Today I'm in jogging pants. It's Saturday. I don't usually wear jogging pants, but it's okay. So this morning, I had somebody brought something down to me, and they wrote it on my paper. Okay, and they wrote it on my card here thing that says most people never run far enough on the first win to find out if they've got a second. Give your dreams all the energy that comes out of you. Okay, now it was the top one, it was the last one I read. Okay, but I'm going to show you something that I got off of YouTube. You can actually go and watch it yourself. They brought this to my attention because they read it. Okay. Or sorry, they watched it. Why your anger with everyone and everything. Or why you're angry with everyone and everything. Tim Fletcher. Okay. I'm going to play the video before I get started, because I have a few things. I have on the board, what is spiritual health? Spiritual health is a spirit to spirit, heart to heart, mind to mind, mind to heart, heart to mind. The connection to both ego mind protection, which like some people can affiliate the ego with the devil, the fear, and the father. Okay. Because, they say fear the father. Okay. And people want to take offense to that. Well, you're going to do what you're going to do. So, and feelings, emotion, heart, which would represent the children, love, goddess, or God, goddess, mother, father. Okay. So that's the connection. That's both the masculine and feminine coming together. Okay, so when you're able to talk, because you're talking to the inner child. Now, I'm going to play this video. Okay. And, like I said, if you're new to my channel and you don't understand my channel, I always recommend that people go and, oh shit. Okay. The window really sucks. So let's do it this way. Okay. So, let's play.
Anger never led to anything good. It only led to more pain. And so it's hard to believe or even think that anger might be a good thing in certain situations. So here's how anger was designed to work. In us, we have this built-in, without even realizing it, moral system of what is love. And so we know that if you love somebody and want a healthy relationship, You have to be honest. You have to be reliable. You have to be faithful. You have to communicate. You have to respect each other. You have to be consistent and fair. That's built in. It's into our DNA. So if somebody lies, what do? We get angry. And what the anger is saying is, alert, 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 something is wrong here. That should not continue, because if it continues, it will damage this relationship and it will damage each other. So anger was designed, number one, to alert you that something was either unloving, disrespectful, unfair, and not true. And then the second thing, it was to give you the motivation to make it right again.
If you have an hour this week, you can learn 100 songs on the piano by learning just 4 chords. These. Check it out.
I don't know how to do it.
And it was to give you the motivation to say, we got to talk about this, so that it could be resolved, so that the relationship would go back to honesty and fairness and consistency and reliability. So anger was a beautiful system that was designed to protect love and loving relationships. That's important. And secondly, anger was designed to be resolved. So that if something's unloving, it resolves it, and then the anger goes away. There's no more need for it because it is resolved. Okay? So that's the original design. And what helps that whole system is that when you are angry, your brain releases a chemical called cortisol. And that chemical is only released with anger and fear/stress, danger. Cortisol is the chemical that gives you the adrenaline rush. It gives you extra energy. It makes you hyper focused. And it is saying this has to get fixed. This has to get resolved. And it's giving you all the help possible to have the energy and the desire to resolve this, to return it to love. So what happens in complex trauma? You live with stuff not being fair. You live with lies and secrets. You live with unfaithfulness and lack of consistency and disrespect. And you're getting angry all the time as a kid because you're getting hurt. Your needs aren't being met. You're trying to resolve it, and you get angry to want to resolve it. And what happens when you get angry? You get punished. You can't resolve it. So what is the only option available to a child who is feeling anger for all the right reasons, but they can't resolve the problem that's causing the anger, the problem that is the unloving behaviors? If they can't resolve it and they're being hurt for showing that anger, they got to stuff it down. They got to push it down, and that starts the formation of lava. And so lava is suppressed, healthy anger. That you were in a situation that in order to survive, your only option was to stuff. And that you learned how to do it. Now, let me just say this. Some children who are maybe bigger and taller than other kids, they stuff their anger at home, but when they were outside of the home, they vented their anger by bullying other kids, by mistreatment of property, arson, mistreatment of animals. But all of those things come from angry children who haven't been able to resolve their anger in a healthy way, so they start venting it to weaker things than they are. And so that describes many of you. Now, here's what they're finding with trauma. That goes like this. When you feel anger, severe danger leads to anger, leads to adrenaline, leads to cortisol, all of those things that give you a supercharged response to what's going on inside of you. You go into full activation when you're in severe danger. Now what they're finding with people who have childhood trauma or PTSD from horrific events like war is they stay stuck in full activation mode. So now the slightest little thing that can happen that makes them anger, and they don't just respond a little bit, they respond in full activation mode. They flip. So the response doesn't match the trigger. And that's what many of you are now realizing, that you can be going through a day and all it takes is the tiniest little thing that annoys you and you lose it. And you go into very dangerous places with dangerous behavior. Next thing I want you to think about with complex trauma. Many children from complex trauma live with the frustration that nobody ever heard them. They tried to express themselves. They hoped their parents wanted to get them. And they tried hard to engage them in conversation, to talk about their world and how they see the world. Nobody got them. Nobody heard them. And so the only way they could get heard was to get angry. And that became a big thing for them, was I got to blow up before anybody will listen to me. So anger became a necessary thing to try to get your needs met and to get heard. Next thing is what we said about anger. And so what I want you to see is, do you see that anger's original design was to pull you in a positive direction? It was to get you to fix love violations and return relationships to healthy. Now, anger pulls you in a negative direction. You want to know what happens now? You get angry, you want to hurt the people in your relationship. You want to destroy further the relationship. So it pulls you in the opposite direction. It pulls you to do more unloving things rather than more loving things. And that is where the damage comes. Now, one of the things that I ask clients all the time to be aware of is this. What is your emotional default setting? And what I mean by that is, if you're not working on yourself, where do you end up emotionally? So a lot of people, when they think about that, they go, if I'm not doing work on myself and not aware of myself, I end up depressed, full of anxiety and anger. And I'm dead inside otherwise. So anger for most people out of complex trauma is their default setting. That's where you will gravitate towards if you're not working on yourself. So the final piece that I want you to see here is, I think the greatest way to understand complex trauma is that complex trauma's greatest damage is to your identity. And we call it shame. So instead of seeing yourself as valuable and a loving, valuable person, you see yourself as not valuable, not lovable. Your identity, instead of being positive, becomes negative. And so one way to understand shame is that as shame builds in your life, it requires you to be angry at yourself. Because you don't like that you're unlovable. You hate that you don't have any value for who you are, or at least that's what you think, though that is not true. But that's what you think is true. And so your anger naturally turns inward because of shame and complex trauma. So what I do with clients all the time is I put on the board, who are the people that you've been angry with? So they'll start with partner, parents, family, friends. Then they'll go to authorities, cops, bosses, CFS, etc. Then that'll go to God. He's the ultimate authority. And then it'll go to self. And then they begin to realize, I'm basically mad at everything. That's what my world has become. I'm mad at me, I'm mad at the world, and everything in it. And that is a very sad place to live.
Okay. How many people can relate to that? I know a great number of people. Okay. I brought that forward because growing up, and I know it's in a lot of families, growing up, we were taught to suppress our feelings. We weren't allowed to speak about them. Anything that happened within the family unit, we were supposed to keep it on the hush hush. I'm 50. And my stuff started young, like most people. And it just kept bottling up and bottling up. And like he said, you push it down, you push it down, you push it down. Okay? So confirmation. What ends up happening is it becomes like Pandora's box. Okay? It's that part that you are Pandora's box. You are, your feelings and emotions are the taboo. Okay? So when you're left to go inwards, a lot of professionals, they have names for it. Okay? Because of what you experience. Okay? Because you then start experiencing more of a spirit to spirit. Oh shit, that doesn't work well. Okay. Okay, so if you start experiencing things on a spirit to spirit, these are the things that you start to exhibit. I need a bigger chalkboard. Okay, so where did I put it? Right here. Okay. So I want you to think of it this way, because I do a lot of talking about spirit to spirit. Okay? Because that's the part of spiritual health. Mental health is caused from a lack of spiritual health, which spiritual health is your mind and body, spirit, soul, and physical. Okay? It's all of it. Okay? So they'll put like if you start hearing voices or you start seeing things or what have you, they put the label on it. Well, they'll tell you, oops. Not a good speller. Psychotic. Okay? The psychotic, to me, represents the psychic narcissist. Okay? Because you're connecting with other people, but you're all about self. Oops. Psychic. Oh. I don't like the board. Okay. Psychic narcissist. Okay? Because it's that part of play on words. Okay? A psychic narcissist, it's more of, like I had on the board, the ego. Okay? It's the self-protection mechanism. So when you're self-protecting, you're not thinking of other people's feelings for the most part. Okay? When I come on here and I talk about stuff and I bring up about my own and my family and what have you, okay? It's not being a narcissist because I see my own, okay? It's that what I'm doing becomes what they call the psychopath. And the psychopath is actually a psychic empath, which would represent the inner child, the child that's been suppressed, and it goes within and it starts experiencing. You say, well, they have invisible friends. They're like, if they're hearing voices or what have you, they're actually experiencing things on a spirit to spirit level. That their spirit is their friend, because their spirit, their heart, is what's actually listening. So when I come on here, I look like a little kid having a temper tantrum. But that's not what I'm trying to do. and you experiencing it in adults. And as he said on the video, you get angry. And, you know, there's somebody trying to shut me down. So, you don't like what I have to say? You can go right back out the same way you came. And I'm not being rude about it. Okay? I'm explaining. Because the same person that brought this to this video, I told him all the same things that that man was saying, but whether it was because, you know, it was a man and I'm a woman and I don't have university or an education or what have you. See, I know that they're messing with things right now because I was looking up there and I could see the views. And now it's just shut right down. What? I have to ask him. Is it because it was something that you brought to me, but something I told you about a long time ago, something I've tried talking to people about? And not just me, others have tried communicating, and people will say, oh, well, you're throwing shade and shit at your family. No. I'm addressing the elephant in the room that every one of us have been experiencing. Only nobody will speak up and say shit if they had a mouthful. So I'm the one that looks like the asshole. Or the one, as some, I'm the one causing problems in the family, but I'm not. I'm the one trying to address them, and everybody else just keeps shoving it down. It's someone, one of my sisters called me last night. I went to a dance thing and it was awesome. Like it was it was cool. Like you just got to dance, whatever, it released a lot. And my sister called me before I went and she asked me, like, did you hear the news? I was like, no, I didn't hear anything because, you know, my family hasn't talked to me in like a month. My dad calls sometimes to ask about like Christmas and what have you. But the rest of them don't. And my ex-husband, he'll say, well, do you wonder why? It's like, hey, man, you started this. So she asked me if I heard the news, and I told her no. I said, because nobody's talking to me. And her reply was, well, you don't call anyone. You don't talk to. It's like, seriously? I'm not going to suck hold of people. So the psychic empath is the communication through the heart and the mind. What they're doing is they're connecting with different forms of spirit through the people, through self. But they're put on medication and told, like, you know, they have a psychiatric disorder. Well, I'm here to tell you, it's a spiritual health. Because the child has not been listened to. It's telling you what it's experiencing, and you're blowing it off, and it grows into adulthood, and then you say they're the problem. They're not the problem. See, I sit back and I watch, not just my family, but I'm very familiar with other people's families too. And it's very similar. Nobody wants to talk about anything. It's just supposed to be hid away, lies, secrets. Exactly what he said, which I have said that a number of times, and so have many others. Your children even try telling you. And I've said that the way they act out, it's how they're feeling. I'll be honest, I don't give two shits about the fucking adults. It's the children that I'm concerned with. And that's the child within you too. So the psychic empath represents the children because the children are feeling everything. Psychosis. Okay. Psychosis to me represents psychic SOS. All those children are calling out to each other, trying to help one another. And you get the angry part, and you get the positive part. You get the part where it keeps getting pushed down, and then you get the healing part. I'm going through the healing process. I'm getting out the poison. My inner child is speaking up. And it's whether those people hear it or not. I don't care. What I care about is actually finally protecting my inner child and allowing my inner child to have the voice that it never got to have. So the psychic SOS is they're all calling out to one another to help, because SOS signifies help. Or would you prefer I say fire? Help isn't good enough? People holler, help, help, and everybody turns a blind eye. But somebody hollers, fire, they become afraid because it may be their house on fire. See, people think that I just see negative in life. But people don't realize how many times I go through pictures. How many times I look at stuff that I received from people. Some people that give me stuff, I just throw it out because it doesn't have any meaning. Or, I got hurt. Certain things I keep. My ex-husband used to give me cards and I just chucked them. And why did I chuck them? Because don't send me a love card when, your actions are saying differently. So I have some stuff here that I'm going to share. I wanted to do like a collage. A collage of what family is and what's important. Because, see, I may bring out the hard things. But I hold on to the good and release the bad. And then I ask those questions. Okay? Because I told everyone that when I was 17, I overdosed. And my second oldest sister, she told me she should have left me die. And I told her, I didn't ask for your help, did I? But later on, she gave me this. I've had this since I was 17. When life gets hard, I wanted to find some words on a card that would help to get through it when life gets so hard. It seems you can't bear it, perhaps can't go on. When deep in the heart, there's no trace of song. When words that would confront, when late in the night, the trails return and you're tired to fight, too tired to fight. Or the tears flow so often, it seems you'll run dry. A life gets too tough, so tough that you just want to die, or at least go and hide. When you're safe from all pain, where you're safe from all pain, someplace you can rest till you find joy again. What are the words you need to hear that will help and will heal and remove all the fear that builds up inside till you think you'll explode? What are the words that will lighten the load? If only I knew the right words to say to encourage and bless you or comfort some way. I know not the words, but this I can do. I shall offer up prayers to the Father for you. Did you mean it? Because if you did, you know your actions speak louder than words. I'm not throwing shit at you. I'm just saying. I take that stuff to heart. That same sister, one year for Christmas, she gave me this. Side by side or miles apart, sisters will always be connected by heart. I don't feel connected. I feel alone. But you know, some will say, oh, well, you know. And they'll just say, like, they'll talk about love and family. But they told me that the same sister told me that my other two sisters will go to my dad and talk about me behind my back about my videos. How about you tell dad to watch it and ask him to watch it to the end, and people just not get frustrated and actually hear what I'm saying, because I'm not just throwing shit at you or about you. I kept cards. Then I used to have a lot of them, but I went through a lot of my stuff because, you know, I was purging, because that was my past. But I don't live in my past, but in ways I'm still being forced to live in it because the same thing keeps happening. And for everyone else too, because, you know, you're not speaking up against what's actually causing you your pain. I know someone told me in my family that they feel like they're losing their voice. They can't talk. They try, but nothing comes out. And the part of that not coming out is because you keep pushing it there and you don't address the elephant in the room. But that same person, when they're drinking, it's not to throw shade on them, they're constantly talking. But they're not talking about the important things. They're not talking about what the heart is feeling and experiencing, because they too were taught to shove everything down. And I know that they had a lot of experiences themselves, and they witnessed a lot of shit and went through a lot of shit as a child, because we've known each other since we were little, because we grew up around each other. Some people, you know, they think, oh, well, you're just trying to shame us. No, I'm not here to shame anyone. I came to help you heal. But, you know, I can't do the work for you, and I can't make you do it. I can't tell you that this is the way of doing it, because it happens in different ways. But I am going to tell you that exactly what he said, and I've been saying it: communication. And those same people will say that nobody knows how to communicate. Well, neither do you. See, I know that one likes talks shit about me all the time. Got to turn everybody on her. Because, you know, some people just can't bear the thought that someone else may like me too. Can't have that, right? You go and you throw shit about me, and you say and create problems and say that I'm the problem. No. Just remember, I was your protection. I may have, may have had our spats, and I may have fucking hit you once when you were a kid. But I was a kid too. And I sent a message to you. And the one time that I did do anything was the time that you told me that my oldest son was not my kid. And I took a hold of you and drove you against the fridge. But see, you don't look at what you did to me. See, in 2007, I was asked to go to Alberta and watch this person's child while they went to work. Drove up there. The vehicle broke. Mine and my youngest son's stuff was left in the vehicle that broke, while the other person got to take all their stuff. And they had stuff at their house. My son and I, we had nothing. I had to go buy stuff that I already had. I had to borrow stuff or have it given to me. And when I went to work, because while I was up there, because I needed money, and, she wasn't really do much. She didn't need a babysitter because, her partner wasn't working, so could stay home. So I decided to go work at the same place she did for this person. I was the cook, and they were the waitress. See, the thing was that the cooks would, the waitresses would get their tips, but percentage of their tips would go in the pot, and then that pot would be divided up between the cooks. But she had a problem with that. But see, the thing was that they had been doing that all along until I came along, and then she had a problem with it. See, waitresses wouldn't be getting tips if the food was poor. So not only that, like I ended up being told that I have to pay half for the trip, for the drive up. I had to pay half the gas, half the expenses. And I was fucking terrified in that truck with that person because they were abusing substances. And they were raging sometimes. I was terrified, and I was terrified for my son and the other child that was in the vehicle with us because of the way he was raging sometimes and driving. And I don't care what you think about me bringing this forward. It's true. So we get up there, and I was working. Okay. She wasn't getting a lot of tips, and they showed me their tip jar at home. There was really nothing in it. And they hadn't been getting a lot of hours. But I've been getting a lot because I was the cook. So this one day I was at work and I was cleaning the slicer. And I damn near sliced the tip of my finger right off. The blood was coming out. And I was just like, oh, I'm bleeding. And I was terrified of blood, but it was like, I'm bleeding. They're like, oh, wow. And they put this stuff on to stop the bleeding. They called my sister. The person, what have you, I don't care anymore. Called them to come get me to take me to the hospital. They weren't very polite about it because I ended up telling them to get out of the room because they started talking to me about money. Money that I shouldn't have had to be forking over because I wasn't going on a fucking vacation. I was going to help the person look after their child. And I had no problem with that. And see, I ended up that I was smoking at the time. And I would go to the reserve and buy smokes. I went to the reserve and took smokes with me. So I had a bunch of cigarettes. I will admit that, it was the ones that they say were I got the word counterfeit, but what have you. So I had my smokes in the freezer and I had my money in my purse and that. And all of a sudden I started I would count my money and wonder, where did my money go? Because I wasn't spending any. I wasn't going anywhere. The only place I was going was to work and back. And I was doing this a year after my car accident. And I still wasn't well. I even went and seen a doctor while I was up there, and I ended up with a family doctor up there because it was the one that helped me. That's how I got started, getting medical treatment up there, and why I kept going back. But I had money going missing, and then all of my cigarettes were going missing. So, do I have a right to be frustrated and pissed off? Yeah, I did. And that's the same person that I opened my door to. And they brought in their boyfriend and their friend. Didn't really ask for anything. But when they moved and I went and they left a bunch of clothes behind, clothes they didn't even wear. Okay, so some might say that, oh, well, you stole my clothes. But every time I was told, you know, you're going to stretch my clothes. This is the spiritual health. It's bringing it. So when I went back up, I went home. I ended up having to get a flight. I had to borrow the money to get the flight home. Or sorry, no, I had to pay for it. That was the second time. I had to borrow money. Because I had the money, but my money kept being stolen. Which one of them was taking it? I don't know. Which one of them was taking my cigarettes? I don't know, but I have an idea it was both of them. And I never stole money from anybody. The only time I ever stole anything was when I was like 10 or 11. I stole a pack of Jawbreakers, but not intentionally. I forgot about how, it did cross my mind. I paid for everything else and I walked out with a 10-cent pack of Jawbreakers. And when I got home, well, I'm not going back. And then the year later, that's when I took my mom up. I settled with the insurance company, took my mom up. And instead of being able to stay at this person's place, I had to pay for a hotel. My mom was welcome there. But me, I didn't feel so welcome much. And I was unwell. But they didn't mind coming to my hotel room and also eating my food and using my rent-a-car. I had a rent-a-car, and when I come back from Toronto, I had to rent a motel room for a couple days because nobody would come get me in my rent-a-car. But they'll throw shit at me and say, oh, you're doing, well, do you get the part of what I'm explaining to you? Because he did. So then in 2008, and I had to stay in a hotel, but I'm not the problem. But you'll go and say I am. You'll tell the other ones instead of them coming and talking to me themselves. Got to get to them before she does, right? But see, it's a thing, I'm very observant and I listen. You talk about me. I don't mind my dad calling me. But you will bitch because he calls. You're fucking lucky that he calls you every fucking day. Seriously. Asshole. I might get a phone call from my dad once in a while when he wants to talk about something. I miss my mom. That's who I miss. One night we went out and I had back problems. And I can't stand when she fucking drinks. Because I found out that not only does she do it with me, but she does it with other people in the family too. You can't hold your liquor, so don't fucking drink. We went out one night and we come back. She was fucking hurting me. She was jumping up on me and everything. And then finally I just took and I leaned forward and I just went oof, and smashed her to the fucking floor. But I'm still nice. I'm still there when I should have actually took and pounded the fucking shit out of you. I should have pounded the shit out of you. Well, you know what? You did fucking hurt me a number of times. And I was always there for you. But see, you don't want to look at that, right? And I was the one that got my own way? No, I wasn't. I'm talking about the one, and about the one that fucking goes throw shit on my name. See, you would make prank phone calls to an older man and then go watch him show up. And then people wonder why young people get fucked up. Because of people like that think, oh, it's so funny. It ain't funny at all. And anyone that thinks that the man should be at fault for that, no. You were fucking old enough to know better. You knew what you were fucking doing. I never pranked anyone. And then watched them show up. And then run laughing because they showed up because you told them to show up somewhere naked or what have you. And then that person gets blamed, right? Well, he shouldn't have showed up. Well, you shouldn't have fucking called and did that. You even sat about the stuff you broke into. You still think it's okay to do certain things. You know, people always talk about and say that other people's doing this when, you know, they're the ones fucking doing it themselves. And the night of your birthday, when you said that to my oldest son, I actually should have drove you through the fucking wall because you would have deserved it because he ain't no dog. But see, he won't see this and you won't tell him. You'll tell him I'm the problem. He was voicing his feelings. And you were trying to shut him down. And I said, no, let him speak because he needs to get this out. You know, it's getting on for Christmas, and I don't care if I get anything from anyone because to me, Christmas ain't about the presents. that part of take your gifts and shove them up your ass, because the best gift of all is being with family. The ones that love you. That's what it's about. It's a celebration of life. It's a celebration of family togetherness. And there's a lot of people right now that don't even have that. They're missing loved ones. And everybody's worried about their fucking gifts. This is spiritual health. Spiritual health is getting out and healing. Being able to not have to push it down anymore because it's fucking dangerous. You wonder why there's so many killings. It's because it's that inner child that just gone what you call psychotic. See, some people think that certain cards are funny, but they're not so funny when you actually experience it. Like when you're told that you're going to stretch my clothes, or like I went through it where, you know, I was a normal weight. Oh, you're going to stretch my clothes. And then, oh, well, you're anorexic. And then, oh, well, you're so fat. I got that each time. I had somebody say about the mirror I was in, about it being one of those slimming mirrors. It wasn't a slimming mirror. It was just a regular $12 fucking mirror from Walmart. I weigh 120 pounds and I'm between 5'6" and 5'7". So you take it from there. And I'm at a healthy weight. And the one that would say about the stretch clothes, sis, it's your birthday and you look terrific. But then why not? You're related to me. LOL. Love ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Love from and them. Okay? Kind of take that as a joke, but you know. Hey, sis, you're younger than me, so apparently you got your looks and beauty from me, huh? It's that part of being able to be comfortable in your own skin and allowing others to be comfortable in their own skin. And if you're not comfortable in your own skin, what do? You shoot others down who are. See, I keep things. It's my mom. Because my mom passed. And I kept it, and a lot of us do. It's a picture of my mom, and under it says, God looked around his garden, and he found an empty place. He then looked down upon this earth and saw your tired face. He put his arms around you and lifted you to rest. God's garden must be beautiful. He always takes the best. He knew that you were suffering. He knew you were in pain. He knew that you would never get well on earth again. He saw the road was getting rough and the hills so hard to climb. So he closed your weary eyelids and whispered, peace be thine. It broke our hearts to lose you, but you didn't go alone, for part of us went with you. That day God called you home. My mom was my inspiration for a poem. Shit ass. In 96, I went and I started upgrading. I didn't finish it because in 96, I went for upgrading because I only had grade 8. And that's all I ever had is grade 8. But I went to college and took some university courses. But in 96, we were at an exhibition and my mom had a heart attack. So my inspiration, I was feeling lost. I didn't want to let her go. I wanted to make sure that she waited for my dad. But I don't know if a doctor took her or what. Can't remember, but I wouldn't let her go because my dad went to get the car to come get her. And this is what I wrote on a moonlit night. On a moonlit night under the stars, they were so very bright. I sat. I heard a sound. It was a man. His voice was soft and sweet. His voice was calling to me to let me know that everything would be all right. I looked to the stars. Once more I knew it was time to go. I felt in my heart a pain. I knew I had to let go, for he was calling me so. On a moonlit night, I got too weak. My words went silent and very low. But before I left, I told him, I love you so. Now, when my mom passed away, I wanted to read that at the funeral, but I wasn't allowed. You know, people may, what have you, but I don't care anymore. There's another part because, some may get frustrated with me for doing that. But, there was another family member that passed a couple of years ago on New Year's Eve. Very unexpected. Had a lot of stuff going on from that. And I've expressed feelings of that because I can feel their pain. This is the part where there needs to be communication and in situations and stuff like this. People struggle to talk about it because there's a lot of anger there. There's a lot of blaming, and it's usually blaming self of what you didn't do or what you could have done differently. And it's that part, it wasn't your fault. The same as my mom dying wasn't my fault or anyone else's fault. See, I like getting meaningful cards because meaningful cards are from the heart. This is from another one of my sisters. On your birthday, sister. And it's the sister that gave me that for Christmas one year, and I never opened it up because it was sentimental to me. Sister. Because I have a sister, I will always have a friend. I don't feel like I have a friend. Not throwing shade. But as much as shit goes on, I'm still there. And some people, they'll say, well, just walk away. I don't believe in walking away from family. I believe in helping family to heal. But, it can't be a one-sided thing. But I'm not going to hold myself back anymore. I'm going to heal. And you can heal with me, or you just let me go. And if it means that you let me go later, right? On your birthday, sister. Happy birthday. Hope you have a great one. For those we love, we wish the best and all that makes them happiest. I don't feel that way. That's why I say it's words. And I know these same people have been through their own shit. And sometimes they blame me. Have a wonderful birthday. Love. That was a message of sympathy. That was an old one. For my sister on her birthday. A sister is a special part of memories closest to the heart. Even though I may not say it, there have always been so many things about you that have made me glad you're my sister. You're a very special person. And on your birthday, I want you to know how much pride I feel for you today and every day. Have a wonderful day. This tier one I liked because I wanted to do my best to jazz up your birthday card. So I put a little boogie in it. So my youngest, she can be funny sometimes. But it's that part of, you put something out there and then when you put it with an insult. I don't want your love bombing. I don't want your cast out and then bring in and then just. I put my all. But I'm bringing my energy back. Every Christmas that I've taken pictures. And this is the ones that called me a fucking idiot. The children. And all I ever did was fight for them. And I see so many people out there that, they don't fight. So I was going through my pictures. And seeing the stuff that, things that were most important. See, I couldn't get my youngest sons. If I did have it, I don't know where it's at. This here. I ended up with that after my mom passed when my dad was moving. It's a certificate with my feet and my mom's fingerprints. My youngest son's baptism paper. along with his picture. I've had this since I was 15. A lot of people, they don't keep it. My mom had a lock of my hair, my first haircut. Right on the back of that, what does it say? Son of Tara. And my middle name and my last name. This is my oldest son. This was at the end of the bed. That was important to me, but some will say, oh, well, I still remember the day that after I had him, he was 8 months old, 8 hours old. Because that morning, okay, my mom had been trying to get me to go in labor because I was a week. I was almost a week overdue. So my mom had me getting up and doing things for her and everything like that to kind of try to induce the labor. 4:30 in the morning, I woke up to go to the bathroom. My mom had been getting up to go to work. And I went in the bathroom and I had my show. So she had me kind of moving around. It was like 9. My mom called in work. It was like 9 in the morning. And my mom went in and got my dad to get my dad. He told her, said his name, and we got to go to the hospital. Tara's in labor. And he was, can't she wait? I got a headache. And my mom was like, no, she can't wait. So we had to call my sister. We met my sister in the hospital. I was having met my sister at her work. We went in. I got in there at 10:30 in the morning, 12:33 that afternoon. He was born. My mom had to lean over me because after I gave birth to him, I looked at my mom and said, I didn't die. And she asked, just die? Why would you die? And I said about a movie I watched, Those She Left Behind. And I said about her dying because she hemorrhaged to death. Not even a minute after I got that out of my mouth, my doctor came in and told my mom, you're going to have to lean over Tara and the baby because she's hemorrhaging and we have to stop her bleeding. Eight hours later, I was my mom called everyone, and my aunt, she was calling the Grace is dressed in blue, the Grace is dressed in blue. And when she called my dad, he was like, already? She had the baby already? 8 hours later, I'm sitting there holding him, and I see my dad peek his head around the corner. I told him, come in. And I asked him if he wanted to hold him. Well, no, I'm cold. It's like, it's okay. Just take your coat off. My dad was crying. Okay. And I did say, because when we found out I was pregnant, I cried. I was stared at school. They asked me what I wanted to do. And I said, I'm not having an abortion. And I'm not giving the baby up for an adoption. But my one of my sisters will say this didn't happen, but you weren't there. My mom had been scared that she would look after him and then I would take him because it happened to my grandmother. So she said, well, tell you what, let your father and I adopt him or give him up for adoption. And one of my sisters would say, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. So I figured, well, give my parents the son they never had. But I didn't know what kind of toll it would have. So when my youngest sister told me he ate my kid, yeah, I did. I wanted to fucking hurt her bad. And she'll look at me and introduce him and say, and look at me and then say, and this is my brother. I felt like I never had a place. I left after they said that the adoption went through. A month later, I left. And left a note from my parents saying, don't contact me, I'll contact you. I didn't want to come home. Me and my youngest son's father at the time before he was born, we had broke up and I went home. And I called him back because I wanted to go back away. I just wanted to get back. I didn't care what I went through, what I was going through, or what had happened. I just wanted out of the house again. So I took a bunch of pills. And I went and laid on the couch. I ended up going in the bathroom and I just remember vague parts, throwing like pills and just kind of throwing them. But each time I took pills, I would put the bottles back so there was no proof. I just wanted to take the pills and go lay down and just die. And what kept me going was hearing my oldest son hollering, Tard, come back. No, Tard, come back. So to this day, I still sign his Christmas gifts as me, Tard. But, people will look at me and they won't get this. But, they're probably blocking me from this getting out. It's that part of the heart. I also have my baptism certificate. When I was little, I have no pictures of me being pregnant with my oldest. There's really no pictures of him and I together. There's a couple, but not really a lot. I was pregnant with my youngest there. This to me was one of the best pictures. And then there was that one. And I show this Because the last time I got a family picture done, I asked my mom if she minded if my oldest son was in it. And she told me that, well, that's up to him. And he agreed. See, my youngest son, he may think that I pick favorites. But I don't. I'm only doing for my oldest as what I did for my youngest. Being silly. See, this here, when I lived in Dartmouth, the kids always came, like they always liked coming to my house. We used to, like, if they got, when we had them, we'd gather and have caveman and salad and stuff like that. And if they got in trouble, what I'd do is give them each a floor rag, and they'd get in separate parts of the floor, and they'd have to wash my floor. It was just kind of like, it wasn't abusive or anything like that, because they actually, I think they enjoyed doing it. And this here was when I lived on Franklin Street. My oldest son up there and my nephew there. My youngest son and my niece one time, they went and it was a school night. Or night, she said, not school night, she stayed over. And I kept going down and telling them, get to bed, get to bed. We're staying in one of the rooms, and it was bunk beds. So I down, they had been hiding. So I told them, get up and get in bed. So the next morning I went down to get them, and they were in no bed. I couldn't figure out, like, where are they? So I looked under the bed, and here the two of them were asleep under the bed because they fell asleep thinking that I was going to come find them again. My nephew, he would run around the house and he'd put balloons in and say he was Dolly Parton. I had a big living room, and they would drive the bicycle around. We'd play hide and go seek. I had these done when I was 16. People took them. People wanted one. This here, the 80s, the big hair day. This was the only picture that I have of me when I was pregnant with my oldest son. It's me. This is the living room I'm talking about. That was taken roughly 2 weeks before my car accident. My youngest son used to like sticking his fingers up people's noses. I was pregnant for my youngest son in there. When I was 13, I was babysitting for someone, and the roommate come home. And they took me downstairs and had sex with me. All I could remember was all the memorabilia crap, hockey, and I remember blood. Now, there's talk about abortions, of what's right and what's not right about abortions, okay? I didn't have one, but I'm going to show you something. People think that a young child should be forced to carry a child because you want to make them feel guilty because they were raped. Okay? Do you think a young person like that should be having a child? Seriously. That was right around the time I was 13 and he was 21. Sit with that for a while. I understand that people bring things on here to show what happens, and you say it's murder. So the person that has the abortion, and you say it's murder because they were raped and they had an abortion, it's murder. But there's no repercussions for the person that raped that person that you say murdered someone. Think about that. Sit with that for a while. You're always going to have the embarrassing picture, and I have no shame in showing it. I was on the throne. Embarrassed? No. See, the thing is, people come on TikTok and other platforms shaking their booty sexually and everything like that. I always loved Christmas, and it was because of my mom. We all used to decorate right up for Christmas the same. Because it was about the kids. It was about the imagination. We'd get up in the morning, and we'd all sit around, and Mom would pass the gifts out, and we'd wait until the other one finished unwrapping their gifts before the other one could, and we'd show what we got. This was my mom's doing. She'd make it very Christmassy. Keeping the imagination, the child within going. Remember, as kids, we'd get up, we'd go out and get our stocking. And we'd be like, can you get up now? Can you get up now? Because we were excited. But we sat as a family. We didn't just like go hoard the gifts and just rip them apart. Oh, I don't like that. And then after that, Dad, he would go back to bed and we'd clean up the mess and start cooking Christmas dinner. But those were the times when it was family. You were there for each other. You had your little spats. Then nothing was to ever be talked about. I don't want to hear it. My mom one time, my second oldest sister was pregnant. And I was too, only I didn't know. And my oldest sister was, or my second oldest, she was pulling my hair and had me down and stuff like that. And she was pregnant. I wasn't going to hit her. Didn't hit them anyways. My mom told my dad, and my dad said, you know, well, you should have sent them down the basement to duke it out. I keep from getting angry. I keep my hands off people, except for that one day when, you know, I did throw my sister against the fridge because of what she said about my oldest son. Because she does it to hurt me. And if they think that I don't know that, or they do it, or it's done because they know it is. And then they'll say about what I'm bringing forward here. You didn't mind hurting me, right? I'm not on here to hurt you. And Christopher, when my oldest broke his arm or sprained it because he was playing hockey. Yeah, I had my hair color different all the time. That was almost black. It was a current. Time to scold. I'm showing this because these are more moments that this here was the buffet and hutch that a guy that I was with at the time, I had him make it for us to give to Mom for Christmas. The four of us girls, we went in on having that hutch made for my mom. There's ball. I took my oldest and youngest to one of the Moosehead games and waited around with them so that they could get the signatures. I took my oldest to a Calgary Flames game. Each of the tickets were like $210 a piece. And he ended up meeting Cujo and Jerome McGinley because we went back and we were up at the fence and I hollered out their name and got their attention and they come over. And I have a video where my mom and we were on the news in Calgary because the next day my mom and I went back and got signatures. And we were on the news standing next to Jerome McGinley. And Jerome McGinley called my youngest son and talked to him. And they're a big Toronto Maple Leafs fan. Handsome young man. Had pictures done. I actually have the picture of them both up on the wall there. It's my youngest son. My youngest son. Some pictures I don't need to show right now. Skipping along. Anybody ever see Energy before? That's what it looks like. being silly and foolish. This was the haircut I gave my youngest son. I had the clippers, and I didn't realize what I was doing, and I took and I swiped, and it made him pretty much bald. So what I ended up doing, that's why you see like back here, and then you see the bangs. I took it all off and left the bangs. Handsome young man from his dad's wedding. He has some of it in my son. He has some of his pictures here. That's my youngest son. My youngest son dancing. My youngest son and I was 18. My certificate. Word of excellence. My youngest at ball. My oldest, handsome young man. My oldest as a little toddler. This I always laughed at. That's my oldest. That's my oldest. I don't have a lot of pictures of him as a baby. Same here. This picture is extremely important to me because these are the only real pictures that I have of him and I when he was a baby, when he was little. See, some people, they won't see that. They'll say, oh, well, you're doing this and you're doing that. I was taking him places with me. It was all before we all had problems. These are very important. My oldest and my youngest. That's really the only baby picture I have. And that's the only family picture I have. And I got those done one year for Christmas. See, family is important. And families fall apart and get torn apart because there's no communication. And see, the thing is, when you live in when you don't have a lot of money and both parents have to work, one of the siblings usually end up growing up very quickly. So there's no real, and I'm not here blaming my dad as he so thinks, or my sisters want to tell him. Because I know that my dad was working what he had available to him. And I know that he worked hard. So sometimes he was working 2 and 3 jobs. And my mom working too. we never really got to see them much. And we were left more to our own defenses, and it's not their fault. They were trying to, so things happen to us. And sometimes they won't face it. Talking about my siblings. I don't blame my dad or my mom. I point at a system that has fucked so many families over because of their own greed, and then they tell us that we're the greedy ones. They tell us that we're the sinners. They tell us that we have sins. We have sins. And it's not because of the stuff we do. It's because of what they do to the people. And the people react to it because it creates a whole lot of fucked up psychiatric problems, which are actually the spiritual health, because they teach people to divide from each other. They separate families. I was watching a thing about Putin. It was a news thing from India or something like that. And Putin was saying about giving money to women to stay home and have kids, at least 8 kids. Pay for your honeymoon, your hotel room, stuff like that. They said that they had done something like that before, and nobody ever got the money. They never ever got the help. Basically, it was more almost a mandatory thing. See, the reason why people don't have families and don't want to have children is it's not so much because they don't want to have children. It's because they don't want to bring the child into a world the way it is right now. Because of their own experiences, or because of what they see and observe around them and the way the systems run. Because they're taught that, money is more important than family. And that's not so. Maybe to some people. And then I have to say, you say you need to survive. But what helps people to survive is a family unit, 144 on the timer. So when they say psychosis or schizophrenia or stuff like that, that's the Father, the child, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Because everything runs spirit to spirit. This is my heart talking to your heart. My spirit to yours. And those spirits know exactly who I'm speaking to. But come on here, or you'll throw shit behind my back. You'll take everything all out of context because got your nose at a joint and because I spoke some truth. There's a lot of talk about child trafficking. A lot of talk about what's in those containers. I said the other day about back In older times, they were sending children through the postal service. People saying shipment containers, trucks. Who's on strike right now? Because I just found out that the postal service is on strike. The shipping containers are being held at different ports, and everybody's screaming and saying, open the containers, because they're hearing things. I have to ask, our trades and goods and stuff like that, it's like a lot of it's supposed to be food, is it not? So why are you not opening the containers for food? What kind of food is it? What's in the containers? Why don't you enlighten the people? If you're not hiding anything, open the fucking containers. It's all red. Like, it's been there how long now? So I guess if it's food, it's already spoiled. But see, when you don't do something to alleviate the people's minds, it keeps people wondering even more. And then it keeps people fighting because others are saying what is happening, and this is why it's stopped. It's got nothing to do with the kind of free trade that people are talking about or thinking it is. It's what's in the containers. And I'll say it, like, seriously, appease the people. If there's nothing in there of what they're saying and it's untrue, then show them that it's true. It's that part you can't, can you? Because, maybe you like, what? You need warrants? These people, to me, are my they're my family. They're my children. Whether I birthed them or not. Because like I said, it's not that it's the adult. It's that child within them. And we suppress a lot. And it happens on purpose. Sometimes we forget about it, but it comes up and it haunts us. And that's why we act out. Oh, pretty blue jay. Because it's that inner child trying to be heard. And it is. It gets set in a corner or gets sent to its room and told that its voice doesn't matter, when it's the voice that you should be listening to. Because they say children lie. No, children are actually taught to lie. The ones that say that the children are lying are a lot of the ones that are trying to cover something up. Because if you can get people not to believe the children, then you get to continue to do what you do, right? Wrong. This is what spiritual health is and spiritual growth. People don't like the word spiritual, but you're allowed to say religion. You're allowed to say pride. Black Lives Matter. Every child matters, yes. And it doesn't matter what fucking background you come from. White lives matter, indigenous lives matter, black lives matter, purple lives matter, gay lives matter, transgender, straight, whatever religion, whatever belief system you have. It's when you start causing harm to other people because of your beliefs. That's the problem. You say it's one person or the other. It's actually everyone. It's every culture, no matter how you look at yourself or perceive yourself. Some people have walked out and not participated anymore. It's the part they're doing their healing. I come on and I do certain things because I'm here to shake some shit up. And to speak up for the children that don't have a voice. And some of you are adults now. And you may say, oh, well, you can't speak up for anybody but yourself. Tell that to Spirit. Gepadalia shola kisenumoto teeta, elokuturita, sisukuyama shole serue, esutotoetoi. This person writes, my motto was always to keep swinging, whether I was in a slump or feeling badly or having trouble off the field. The only thing to do was keep swinging. Keep swinging. Think of baseball. Because you don't hit the ball, do you stop playing? Or do you go back up to bat and swing until you hit that home run? Because eventually, you will hit a home run, whether it's an infield home run or over the fence. With that being said, I'm sending you all much love, light, many blessings, most importantly, very good health to anyone and everyone wanting, willing to receive and accept. I want you all to be big, bold, brave. Most importantly, be yourself, be your authentic self, be true to yourself, be true to others, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and know that you have more strength than you can comprehend at times. Go forward with heart, with spirit, and you will make it. Que se totoe totoe, isu leva totoe.